Welcome to the Sales Warrior Inner Circle. I'm Jeff Renevier. In case you may not know who I am, I want to ask the group a question. Who remembers having a substitute teacher? Anybody? Right? Like, show of hands. And it was like you were going to get one of two teachers. It was going to be one of two ways that was going to happen. You walk into that third period Spanish class and you see a non-familiar face and you're like, oh, one of two things is going to happen. Either you are going to be bombarded with actual homework. Like, this person's trying to make a name based off of your third period Spanish class, or else they were going to wheel out that 27-inch boob tube TV on that tray with the big old tie down hanging on that thing, right? Like, so the thing wouldn't trip off and fall off in the back if it ran into a desk or something like that. But I don't know about you. I was always the kid who sat in the back of the class. I know, shocker. So I could act squirrely, which I did. Shocker. But so, like, I could never see the TV. Like, it was completely different than what the kids are probably facing. Hell, today they probably have an iPad sitting in front of their faces, so they don't really even need to see the screen, even if the teacher does put something on. But anyways, I want you guys to understand when I say this, like, I today am your substitute teacher. Todd is not here. He asked me to fill in, and I said, hell to the yes. So let's get after it. So you're not going to get the crazy person with the crazy homework. You're not going to get the, hey, let's watch a video. You are going to get something in between. I like to make this interactive. Okay. I like to make this interactive. And although I have a bunch of stuff to cover, I will not take up more than 60 minutes of your time. I promise you that. But secondly, I have some topics. Thirdly, I want to hear from you. I want you to use the chat and put in a topic, a question, something you want addressed and answered from a sales perspective. Everything from process to mindset to what should I do, buyer agent value proposition. Thank you very, very much. All of those different things that I want to make sure that we cover here today, in addition to what I have on here. So Peter was the first brave one. You guys just absolutely great. Thank you. Start adding all of that stuff into the chat below, and we will tackle and unwrap some of those different things. But first things first, I want you guys to understand. So the list of topics I have here written down. And if you can see that in my chicken scratch, it says a week in review. And what I mean by that is I stole this from a fearless leader of mine. And it was, hey, listen, Jeff, curious what the people want to know? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He goes, write down every question you get throughout the day. Compile it for the week. Spend some time thinking about it over the weekend. And there you go. You have some talking points. You have some coaching points. You have just some deep and inner thoughts. So the long and the short of it is, I have those. And that's a good thing. But you'd be shocked at some of the questions that I'm facing on a daily basis. Like, I heard this one today. Thought it was classic. RDR. Realtors don't read. Loved it. Thought that was the funniest damn thing I've heard in a very, very long time. And the reason it's kind of funny and scary all at the same time is because of so much change that's happened over the last year, for the most part, 10 months. And here we are as it's being thrown into the field as far as like, well, Jeff, I don't know how to have that conversation. But you would if you had showed up to things like this. So kudos to you guys for showing up for this. But I get these questions a lot, and I start to find themes. I start to find trends, and I think that's important. So then I'm able to enter conversations in the back of people's heads, which, by the way, is a skill set. It's a sales skill set that you should have, and we can talk about that and unpack that. But the things that we're talking about today are one of the most common question I get. Are you ready for this? Open houses. Open houses. We've been talking about open houses since I don't know when. Like, well, Jeff, it's different now. No kidding, it's different. I've been teaching that it's different today than it's ever Ben, we are going to talk about open houses. You want to know why? There's a million reasons why, but my favorite reason for an open house was a gentleman who used to work for our deal. He's no longer in the state, no longer in the industry, but he said one time after he kind of had that breakthrough moment, like literally had a breakthrough. And he said to himself, he goes, anytime I think to myself, golly, I should probably go get a paycheck, I'm going to do an open house. And that resonated with me. But then as time went on, and this was so pre-COVID, it's not even funny. Then post-COVID, during COVID, remember, we really weren't able to do open houses, nor did we have to, because all you had to do was take a picture with your dang iPhone. All you had to do was maybe put a for sale sign in the yard. Maybe, but you did have to put it on the MLS, because then every Tom, Dick, and Harry buyer agent was like, hey, can I get in? Hey, can I get in? Hey, can I get in? And then that buyer would bring in their people and they'd walk them through the house. Correct me if I'm wrong. The agent would ask, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what do you think of the house? Do you like it? Yeah, we think we like it, but we're not quite sure if we want to make an offer. And you know what you had to do? All you had to do was open up the front door and just kind of like do one of those. Be like, well, here's the thing, Sally. If you don't buy it, those 15 other people probably will. It's up to you. Like, it was crazy. It was easy. Like, it was hard in its own way, in that a lot of people got into the business and they struggled because they didn't have a lot of people teaching them what to do, right? Because no one had time. It felt like no one had the time or the patience. I know I struggled in that department. You're just like, dude, I told you once, like, you should completely know this by heart, which we all know you guys have to hear it 7 times. We all have to hear it 7 times before we hear it the first time. But the long and the short of it was, Jeff, I want to start doing open houses. Why do you want to do open houses? Well, I've listened to you, Jeff, and I believe in your belief that it is the quickest and best way, best use of my time to grow my database, grow my book of business, grow my skill set. Okay. Those are the 3 main reasons why I love doing open houses. Well, Jeff, I do the open house like I've always done. Well, that's your first problem. That's the first problem in all of this. If you've heard anything we've said over the last 2 to 3 years, it's the mega open house. Jeff, I don't have 10 days. And okay, that's fine. That's cute. I get it. Like, how bad do you want it? Are you interested? Or are you committed? You hear us talk about that all the time. But the reality is, I believe you can take a 10-day plan and condense it down to 7 days. Possibly, I'll even give you a hall pass on 6, which would mean what? If I'm going to do an open house this coming Sunday, I would have needed to start yesterday. Well, what are some of those steps? Well, the first things first, like, you got to start putting this thing out there on the World Wide Web, on your social media platforms. You have to create an event. You have to follow this instruction. If you can read, guys, I'm telling you, the process is insane. It will generate the results. Just 2 weeks ago, an agent here in my Bozeman office did an open house. The week before, she did the same open house. The week before, she did not follow the process. The week after, she followed the process. Would you be shocked to know that she had 15 times more groups come through the second weekend she ran it? It wasn't because it was a crappy day out or it was not too nice of a day out. It was because she followed the process. And the biggest thing for her was not only knocking on doors, but she was like, Jeff, I'm running out of time. I said, well, plan B would be what? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Pick up the phone. Call. Well, Jeff, what am I supposed to say? Well, it's interesting. You have a copy of the Lethal Book of Scripts. Yes, great. So let's go to that section and let's figure out what are a couple different ways we can drive traffic to an open house. What you guys got to understand is, I don't just do this with my own agents. I do it with people outside the organization. So on Saturdays and Sundays, when I see that little, A-frame sitting out off of a highway that's 70 miles an hour, and there's 2 balloons because one got ripped off because of the wind, I'll pull in there and I'll be like, Joe, oh my gosh. If I know them, fantastic. If I don't, I introduce myself. And I'll simply ask the question, hey, how's traffic been? How's your activity been? Well, I have had 2 people through or 4 people through or no people through. Okay, great. What were some of the techniques that you did to try and get people to open houses, to this open house. Because remember, an open house, guys, does not need to be your listing. It could be your cubicle mates. It could be the top agent in your office. You just have to set yourself up for opportunities to do them. But here's the thing. You have to do them. If it's going to be part of one of your lead funnels, right? We always say you need 5. You need 5 to 6, 4 to 6 in some markets, but you need anywhere from 4 to 6. Number one's always your clients in your sphere of influence. Yes, there's no question. You're not going to talk me off of that ledge. However, my next favorite one, my most productive, lucrative one is the open house. Because if done right, you are going to generate opportunities. And guys, that is the name of the game. It's not, hey, will you fill this piece of paper out? It's an opportunity for me and the client, potential client, to make a connection that they're going to be like, that's the only person I want to work with. They made me feel good. They made me feel comfortable. They were entering the conversation in the back of my head by asking questions that I was afraid to ask or I didn't know how to ask. And then they just showed me around and they pointed out certain things that I don't know if I would have seen, but they weren't pushy salespeople. You see, it's an art. It's an art. This is the drama piece of it. And I don't mean drama in like, oh my gosh, there's drama. It's the theater of it. It's the show. You have to be damn excited about what it is that you're trying to sell. Because if you don't feel my energy, how in the world are you going to be like, you know what, that still is the house, even though that guy was a bump on a log. He sat in a corner on his phone, read a book, had a lawn chair. And I kid you not, guys, I was taught to do an open house. Well, if it's a vacant house, Jeff, make sure you bring a chair, make sure you bring a book, and make sure you bring some pens and papers. I'm like, what's the book for? Well, that's in case nobody shows up. At least you could read a book. What? Holy smokes. And guess what? I did it because I didn't know any better. But then one day I realized that, is there another way of doing it? Even though there was a bunch of crabs in my office at the time, they were like, you can't do it that way. Can't do it that way. I said, I can't, or I shouldn't. Or you did once and it didn't work. Like, which one is it? Well, I tried it one time. It didn't work. Oh, okay, cool. So because it didn't work for you the first time, it'll never work for anybody ever again in real estate sales. Okay, understand. And so one day I went to the streets. And I door knocked. I door knocked 12 blocks, 4x3 around this house. This was when you can have a hip pocket listing. So we had the listing ready to rock and roll. And then we're like, all right, we're going to roll this thing out 10 days from now. 75 groups through. As you can tell, we had multiple offers. This was in the recession. This was 12. Remember? Like you had a listing, you're like, oh shit. I don't want a listing. I want buyers. Buyers were king back then. One would argue right now they're king. I still believe in listings. That's my jam. So on the open house piece, it was just following a process. It was just door knocking. It was just following up with the people. Guess what? Hey, Peter, remember me? I knocked on your door about 3 days ago. I was inviting you to an open house. I just wanted to let you know we got the property under contract. Believe it or not, we had 75 groups there. Well, Jeff, what's a group? Well, a group could be one person or it could be a family of 5. You do the math. We had a boatload of people in there. I couldn't keep up with it. It was insanity. But guess what? We got it under contract. Guess what else that means? What's that, Jeff? Well, it means that there is potentially 74 other families who didn't. Who do you know who's thinking about making a move? Do you know of anybody? I don't like the word do. I don't mind who. Do is a knee-jerk reaction to a yes or a no. Who makes them think about it a little bit. Okay? Peter, would you agree that once this sells, that it's directly going to impact the value of your home? Yes, great, awesome. Would you like to know the new value of your home when that does, in fact, come about? Yes, great, awesome. Do you prefer text or email? I'm not just going to drop it off. I'm not going to bug them. But guess what I just got? I got some contact info, which is an opportunity.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. I'm going to get you right back to the video, but most of you know me as a real estate broker, or maybe somebody who's built and scaled one of the fastest growing sales organizations in the country. What you may not know is that I also work with other sales professionals and leaders that are looking to grow and scale their businesses and just live badass lives. The one place that I have everybody start, the very first spot, is the lethal scripts for the sales warrior. I'm going to give you one for free today just so that you can get a little taste of what it is that we're doing out there. So click on the link below. We'll send you the information and let's get back to the video.
All right. So doing the open house, inviting the neighbors. Jeff, why would I invite the neighbors? Well, pre-COVID, the average move, because today it's absolutely through the roof because everybody was moving from East Coast, left coast, West Coast, East Coast to the Midwest and some of the regions that we face and serve today. The move was less than 5 miles. Can you believe that? Like, that was mind-boggling to me when I heard that years ago. As I think about it, it makes more and more sense, especially since I have a son in school. Because once the kid's in school, what? Like, chances are you don't want to move them, right? So inviting the neighbors is a critical piece to this. And it's something along the lines of like this: knock, 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 take a step back. Hey, listen, the Johnsons, 123 Main Street, right around the corner from here. I'm sure you saw the sign, but they decided to put their house up on the market. What I shared with them was I was going to invite all of the neighbors. Now, here's the thing. I want you to come before the public open house. I want you to do a private piece. Come on over. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of price. Where do you think the market's headed? All that. I would love your opinion on all of that. Make them feel empowered. Make them feel comfortable. Because each person has their different take on what that is actually happening within the market, right? Again, this is a side note, so we'll hit pause on the open house piece. But I had an agent the other day who was like, well, Jeff, the market's crashing. Oh, how? I don't know if you've seen all the price reductions on the MLS lately. I go, oh, I've seen them. They're like, but isn't that a bad sign? I go, who's to say they were priced right to begin with? Well, I never thought about that. I said, slow down. Look at the data. The data does not lie. Anyways, picking back up on the open house. So then you have the open house. You're doing all the stuff. You're door knocking. You're circle prospecting. You're not already doing that. Here's a great one for you. Hey, Robin, it's Jeff. I don't know if this is for you, but I have a new listing, or I have an open house at 123 Banana Street. I know you have somebody in your life who might be interested in this. Why don't you just come on down? I'd love to see you. Bring the kids. I'm going to have ice cream. I'm going to have cookies. I'm going to have the stuff. Bring everybody down. Take a peek at it. It'd be great to see you. If you're out and about, just swing on by. Well, what did that do? Well, now I'm calling Robin because I'm connected with her because she's a client of mine, and we should be doing that regularly anyways. And two, like I'm saying, I'm planting the seed in her head, like, no, shoot, maybe she does know somebody. Maybe I do know somebody who is interested in this, because my thought and theory has always been each person that I speak to was a conduit to 10 other people that I did not know. The more relationships you have, the higher the probability, the more opportunities you get, which allows you to become the expert that they're looking for. Okay? So make sure that you're using all sorts of areas to connect with these people on a regular basis. You're just trying simply to not only just bombard them with an email, but imagine if you actually talk to them once a month. Holy smokes! Jeff, that's way too much. It's never too much if you're adding value. Just for the record, just get that drunk monkey off your shoulder. I can't possibly call these people every week or every month. Yeah, you can. You most certainly can. All right. And if you're doing open house after open house after open house, be like, hey, Robin, it's me again. Doing another one. I don't know if it's for you, but you know what she's also going to think? Holy smokes, Jeff's grinding. He actually works for his people. Just the other day, my wife's showing a property. Agent walks in late. Okay. Agent walks in late with her client. Client's already sitting there. And she literally had the audacity to be like, can we speed this up? Because I have a tea time. Now, I love tea times. And I'm not talking about crumpets. I'm talking about teeing them up, smacking a little white golf ball around. But like, where in the hell is the professionalism in all of that? That is just absolute ludicrous. And for the record, absolute train wreck of a real estate agent. neither here nor there. So open houses, open houses, open houses. Do me a favor. I'm going to put in the chat box my email address. If you are at all interested in receiving a copy of the mega open house, if you do not already have it, email me and I will make sure to reply to you individually and send that out to you. Cool. Awesome. Scripting. Well, this is an absolute no-brainer. You all have access to the Lethal Book of Scripts, Book of Lethal Scripts, excuse me. Dyslexic moment right there. Use it. Memorize it. Read it. Like, there is a script for everything in there. Well, Jeff, it doesn't sound like me. Okay, make it sound like you. Take the talking points, take the talk tracks, and work those. But when someone asks me, well, Jeff, I need help on scripting, I say, regarding what specifically? Is it data? Is it perception? Is it feel versus real? I would need to know the stats in order to coach up somebody. So what does that mean? Well, simply, if there's lots of price drops within the market, well, again, like, was it the right thing? Or is it just some ridiculous listing agent pricing something to buy the listing? We've all heard of this concept before, right? Like, you could name on one hand, off the top of your head, 5 agents in your marketplace. You're like, they bought that listing, right? We all know they exist. So you have to simply allow the data to tell the story. You absolutely have to tell, or let the data, tell the story. So what we're looking for here, the biggest one that I'm running into right now seems to come down to common denominator, comes down to pricing. And I always challenge the folks. I said, okay, did you do a CMA or a BPO or I know they call them different things in different markets. You get what I'm trying to say. Evaluation of a home that is not ordered by an appraiser. And they're like, well, yeah, of course I did. It's I just used the method of price per square foot. I said, oh, okay. Is it a 2-story? No, it's a single level with a basement. Oh, and did you use the same square footage adjustment for the space below grade? Because I don't know about you in your market. They do not do it the same as above grade, below grade. Above grade, square footage price is 1. Below grade in our market is half of it. So for easy math, if it was 200 above, you were going to make an adjustment for 100 below. And so I would challenge you guys to become experts in doing CMAs or BPOs or whatever. But in order to become an expert in that, you have to know what adjustments appraisers are doing and what the value that they're doing them at. And what I mean by that is, off the top of my head, obviously square footage is 1. Bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage, central AC versus not, modifications, updates, all of those different things. And like the list goes, yard size. They don't really account for landscaping. And you're probably like, well, Jeff, the curb appeal, this one's outstanding. Well, I get it. But I also had a client one time roll up their backyard because they just replaced a bunch of sod. And they're like, well, we just sold it. We're not going to give these guys the sod. I go, what the hell did you just do? That's why they don't make adjustments for landscaping. Because the appraiser are like, well, it's fine. Buyer was up in arms. Now, we managed to get it figured out. And also, they dug out a rhubarb plant that they claimed made the best rhubarb pie in North America. I don't know. I don't know if it was accurate or not. But you get what I'm saying. So all the different things that you need to understand what they're doing, making adjustments, because then you're able to not only help your sellers, give them a really, really, really clear, accurate depiction of what the market looks like. Not just, well, I think it's $500 a square foot. And you're like the difference between $500 a square foot and $400 a square foot on a 2,000 square foot home is significant. And we all know that time is money. And when the market comes, or when the home comes on the market overpriced, like the best time to sell it was in the first 2 weeks. 30 days max. At day 30, you should probably go on, did I miss the boat on this? But there's going to be a couple key indicators that you can look at. Hey, we're getting a lot of showings, but no offers. Or we're getting no showings and therefore no offers. That's either priced too high or the marketing sucks. Maybe the pictures are terrible. Maybe the home stinks, right? So you just have to think about all those different things. But for the sake of just looking at static data, you got to understand what appraisers are doing in the market for adjustments. And if you have the ability, and for some reason in my market, they don't love coming to real estate offices and telling and sharing all their dark secrets, because I think even they just go back and forth and we're like, yeah, I'm buried under these appraisal orders, so I'm just going to crank something out. So if you have the ability, I would encourage you to get with your managing director and be like, hey, bring one of these guys in or gals in for a lunch and learn. You would be shocked at the information that they share with you. Cool? Awesome.
Hey, just a quick little interruption. As you know, I work with some of the best sales professionals and leaders who are looking to grow their businesses, build exceptional lives on the planet. And what I'm doing is I'm giving away $50,000 worth of coaching and training absolutely free. All you have to do is enter the drawing below, click on the link, enter your information, tell us just a little bit about you, and you could qualify for $50,000 worth of free coaching and training. Let's get back to the video.
All right. Next topic, door knocking. Not in the sense of, Jeff, I don't know if I should do it, because every person has come to me and we're like, I want to do door knocking. I'm feeling brave. I'm feeling ferocious. I'm feeling confident, but I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, okay. So then the next question is what? Well, is it just to door knock in general, to introduce yourself, to drop off the little deal and says, hey, I'm your friendly realtor? Because that's not ideal if that's all you do. If it's to have a purpose, meaning, do you want to become the new listing king or queen in the specific area? That's great. If it's, hey, I'm going to do an open house, that's great. Again, all different types of scripts that come along with it. But what are you trying to accomplish when you get into the door knocking piece? So the deal is, if you do it consistently. Commit to that area. Commit to doing it for every open house. Commit to doing it for every listing that you do. Just commit to doing it. Don't do it on the days that you sort of feel good. Because as the great John Wooden would say, hey, listen, if we only showed up and did the things that we wanted to do on the days that we wanted to do them, we probably wouldn't get a lot done, right? So just think about that from a door knocking standpoint. Now, the question is, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Well, if it's for the open house, we want to invite them, right? That's number one. Like, get over the fact that, well, Jeff, it's like the next door neighbor. Okay. I mean, this is being recorded, and I'm going to say it anyways. I have 2 neighbors. I would never pick these 2 neighbors to live next to me. Just putting it out there. So have you ever wanted to pick your own neighbor? The answer is hell yes. Answer is absolutely yes. I want to pick my neighbors because I want to have cool people or a great family or a calm family living next to me to balance out sort of my energy. But so picking your own neighbors, inviting them to the open house, then guess what you get to do after the open house as part of your process? You get to knock on their door and just simply tell them how it went. Whether you got an offer, whether you had 10 groups through, whether you had 2 groups through, whether you're going to do another one in the upcoming week. Guys, we're looking for opportunities to connect with people on a regular basis. So whatever you do in regards to door knocking, commit to it. Absolutely commit to it. If you're saying, hey, Jeff, I don't really want to do the open house. I want to become the expert in the subdivision or in this particular area of town. Well, great. Listen, even if it's not your listing, you can still talk about, hey, listen, I'm sure you saw the Smith family right around the corner just listed our house. Why is that important to you? Well, it's my belief that every time a property trades or exchanges, it directly impacts the value of your home, good, bad, or indifferent. Would you like to know when that happens? Would you like to know the new updated value of your home after it closes? You see, guys, you're not going to get the door thrown and slammed in your face if you're asking to provide value. If you're constantly providing value, people aren't going to be like, oh, God, it's Jeff again. I get it. Call reluctance, door knocking, it's all the same because it's the 6 inches between your ears that's preventing you from doing what it is that once you get going, like you're an unstoppable monster, like you're insanely talented. Let those skills be showcased. So, door knocking, door knocking, door knocking. Huge advocate of the door knocking. I don't like being on the phone. So, I'd rather get in front of somebody. And I think you guys would as well. Next hot topic of late. Believe it or not, guys, direct mail is back. It's back. But it's only back if done right. Let me explain. So first things first, direct mail, okay? Write this down, write this down, write this down. Direct mail, you can expect to receive or see a return on your investment, aka ROI, after 18 touches. Immediately, 90% of real estate agents, it's going to take me a year and a half. They're like, well, who the hell said you got to do one a month? What if you figured out a way to do it every week? But instead of sending something every week, it was send a piece of value, knock on the door, send a piece of value, give them a call, send a piece of value, invite them to an event, send a piece of value. You get what I'm saying? So you'd be committing to doing actually 9 pieces of direct mail, backfilling it with 9 personal, either voice to voice or face to face opportunities. Guys, if you're going to do it, you got to be committed. And you'd be shocked at the amount of people who say, I'm all in. Then they do it for 3 weeks and then they never do it again. Well, no one listed with me. Did you ask for the business? Well, not like that. I dropped off a cute little door hanger, or I illegally put something in their mailbox, right? And you're like, oh God, what are you doing? Like, that is not what we're talking about here. All right. So door knocking, or I should say, excuse me, geofarming has an element of door knocking, has an element of circle prospecting, has an element of the direct mail piece. So then the next question is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to do it? And this is where it gets tricky. Tricky in the sense of like, that one agent lives there. Okay. Get your mailing list, delete their name. But even before that, you, the agent, because you're going to be making an investment in your business, an investment of your time, an investment of your energy, there's a couple questions that I want you guys to consider if you have, even if you're still doing a geo farm area. I hear some people, they geofarm their own people. Totally fine. But like, remember, geofarm is like, I want to be the king or queen of XYZ subdivision or this area of town. And I hope at the top of the list is the one you live in. Okay. First and foremost, own it. Own the darn subdivision. If you don't, go get it. Get your unfair share of it. Okay. So finding out for some, what's a price point? They do it based off a price point. Was there a certain side of town or a certain area of town that has a price point that's moving, that's trading, that's going to cause you to do what? Dive into the data. God, Jeff, I can't do data. Just run a report. It'll tell you where. If you know how to look for it, if you know what to look for, it will tell you everything you need to know. Another area would be migration. Over the last 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 years, on average, X amount of homes trade. That's important information because you don't want to get to the one neighborhood that everybody aspires to. Because why? Not a lot of people move. Like, that's a big one. Now, granted, when they move, you might be able to pick them up. And I'm not discouraging you from doing that because not only are they a potential seller, but they're a potential buyer. They're a referral partner for you. Remember, conduit to 10 other people you don't know. So there might be an element of that. But if you're looking to actually trade, do some actual units, looking at a migration report, or that's what I call it, sorry. It's just what I've compiled the data to tell me what is actually moving, how many properties, what's trading, what's the percentage of. And if you have questions on that, please feel free to give me a call. I love the data, love talking about that. Another area to think about is growth and appreciation. Over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 years, on average, you're seeing 4%, 18%, 22%, 98%. Like in some markets, we've seen over 100% appreciation over the last 10 years. It shouldn't surprise you. But you know who it might surprise? The homeowner. They might be shocked to know that, wait a minute, I bought it for $250 and now you're telling me it's worth $5? Uh-huh. Just giving them the options, giving them the information, just providing value for them, and you will most certainly see some opportunities that you weren't going to see before, at least not organically. All right. So look at some of those different pieces. And then one of the last ones, desirability with your perfect client. Well, Jeff, what the heck does that mean? Well, each one of you, whether you've gone through the exercise or not, has a perfect client in your head, has an absolute perfect client in their head, in your head. Cater to them. Make your posts about them. Make your direct mailers about them. Your messaging about them. That's called entering the conversation in the back of their head. It is a tactic. It is a skill that, if perfected, will take so much anxiety, walls down immediately. Because a lot of the times, unfortunately, because some of the lack of professionalism within our industry, people don't like us, man. They think we're snake oil salespeople. And you're like, I'm far from that. I, as a salesperson, I am here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to help you make a decision that helps you. Okay? Help people make decisions that help themselves. Help people make decisions that help themselves. When I heard that the first time, I mean, that was worth the price of admission at that sales conference that I was at. Like, that just blew my mind. Help people make decisions that help themselves. Period. End of story. If that is in the back of your head, you will never feel pushy. All right. So think about the desirability of that perfect client. And then, of course, the pre-launch. Like, how do I launch a listing?
All right, one more interruption. Hey, listen, you guys know I'm working with salespeople and leaders all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and we're all focused on one thing. How is it that we have the greatest impact and change the most lives? So here's the thing. You don't have to pay me to be your coach. I'm going to give you my phone number. I want you to text me any question you've got. I promise you I'll answer it. Just try me. 833-338-0078. Ask me whatever you want. I'm in this for you, not just with you, for you. Let's get out there and crush it and change some lives.
It's so different than it was. Some of you on this call have been doing this for longer than I've been alive. Some of you have been doing it for about 43 seconds. Okay. And that's okay. Some of you have been doing this for about 4 years. Well, what happened 4 years ago? You weren't trained on how to actually do it, right? Because of a little deal called COVID. So it was just an absolute goat show of just like, it was hurry up. You didn't have any time, it felt like, to be able to do what you had to do. So pre-listing, right? One of my favorite things to do in the entire world when I'm getting ready and I'm prepping for my actual listing presentation. I haven't even gotten the listing yet, but guess what? 2 things I want you to consider doing. Okay. First things first, knocking on the neighbor's door. So I'm going to go do a presentation for the Smith family at 123 Banana Street. Cool. Great. I'm going to go across the street. Knock on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Hi. Hey, it's Jeff Renevier, ABC Realty. I don't mean to bother you, but here's the deal. I am going to be going on a listing presentation here in your area. I did not tell them the address. I did not say it's across the street. I didn't say any of that. I want you to tell me one thing. I have one question to ask you, if that's fair. Great. Sure. And then I'll be out of here. What's your favorite thing about the neighborhood? And they're going to talk and they're going to tell you, I love walking your dogs on the trail. I love the parks. I love the this. I love the location. Great. Awesome. Why is that important? Well, now when we go on our listing presentation, we can say to the Smith family, hey, listen, you have a really, really cool neighborhood here. I took the liberty of asking a handful of neighbors in the area what their favorite things about the neighborhood were. And here's a list of them. And why is this important? Because this is what I'm going to be marketing to. Oh, Oh my. Oh my. So very, very valuable. Secondly, my favorite thing, after I tell them that, by the way, Smith family, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I took the liberty, whether, first things first, let me ask you a question. Regardless if you hire me or not, are you still planning on selling your house? Yes. Whew, thank goodness. Why? Well, because I took the liberty with that information. I called my entire database, or at least the people who I think would be a great fit in here, who are looking to be here. And I let them know that there was a listing coming on the market sometime soon. And I would let them know the minute it did. Again, regardless if you hire me or not, and the price and the terms. But they are very, very excited to see this particular property hit the market. Guys, you are working before they even hire you. We have a terrible reputation of just snapping a few photos, throwing on the MLS. Like, guys, go above and beyond, right? Give them the white glove service. Knocking on a door, asking the neighbors what their favorite part about the neighborhood is, killer. Asking then the seller to be like, hey, listen, I just wanted to let you know that I called everybody in my database, or at least the 10, 15, 20 people who have identified this as an area that they wanted to be, and just simply told them that there was a house coming on the market. I didn't know any more details about that as far as price and all the fun stuff, but I would let them know when it does hit the market. Okay. Very, very, very powerful stuff. During all of that, you're going to jump into the piece of, again, now we get to once we get the listing, then we get to do the open house, right? That's if the seller wants you to do it. Right now, you should really, really encourage them to do it, because they're like, well, Jeff, you're just trying to get buyers. No. I'm not trying to get more buyers. I'm trying to get some more sellers, right? You have to put yourself out there. You have to get out there and push this product on their behalf, because your job as the listing agent in this case is to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. It is a stressful situation to sell a house. Some of these folks have never sold a house. They've lived in the same one for 40 years. Some do it habitually, right? Like they're the perfect client. Hey, it's been 2 years and a month. Let's list the house, right? So just having those kinds of conversations, having that ability to say, hey, listen, this is the best use of our platform. Get out there. It's not only are we going to blast it out to the entire MLS without a co-op fee. Okay. Make sure you guys are not doing that. Then simply get out there and just invite the neighbors. Put yourself out there. Give yourself the opportunity. And then when it moves to pending status, now you either get to knock on their door, the neighbors, or you get to call them. Right? So think of it. Then when it moves to close, you get to do the same thing. And then you simply get to, again, sprinkle in the line of, hey, listen, would you agree that every time a property sells in your neighborhood, it directly impacts the value of your home? I think so, Jeff. I've never sold a house before. Well, the answer is, John, that it does. So, John, would you like to know the new updated value of your home? Well, why? In my experience, some people are shocked at the value, the amount of appreciation that they've received in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And what some of those folks have done, they've taken some equity from their home and they've purchased a rental property, or they purchased a second home. They purchased a new motorhome, whatever the case may be. Is that something you'd be interested in? Well, I don't know. I've never thought about that. So, John, do you plan on how many more years of, like, you guys, you just get into conversation. Help people make decisions that help themselves. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. Okay. Wow. Let's see here. Buyer agent value proposition. Well, the good news is, guys, your buyer presentations, they're being revamped. They're being reworked to the areas that we teach to. Imagine that. Imagine that. So now more than ever, the buyer process with the settlement has completely changed. For the record, I've seen more people get out of the business in the last 30 days because they simply were not able to adapt and pivot. Like, it's mind-boggling. They weren't ready to retire. One person just simply said, today is my last day, and I'm going to refer you to somebody else. You're like, did I just hear you say that? Because they weren't able to wrap their head around what it is the value proposition looks like. And guys, it's simple. It is absolutely simple if you think about it. You have all this stuff that you do in your head. Every single time somebody calls you, you start a certain process that you're like, oh yeah, here we go again. But you've done it so many times, it's completely internalized. Imagine if you all put it down on a sheet of paper, or in this case, in an absolute beautiful presentation where it'll all live and you all have access to it, right? And then the simple thing is like, this is literally what I do for you. Whether it's 119 things or 237, it doesn't matter. You're not worth 3%, you're worth 5. Okay. So buyer agent value proposition. And for some people, you guys have superpowers in other areas that I don't. But the reality is, if you constantly are just there helping people make decisions that help themselves, and that is your mindset and your heart set, then you will just absolutely blow these people away.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Last one. Hey, it's about that time, and we are doing business planning events all over the country. And I want to make sure that you have your absolute best year ever. The people that go through our business planning, on average, make over $250,000 per year. And if you're looking to do that, if you're a sales professional, text me at 833-338-0078. Just text me the town that you are in, and I will send you information about the business planning event that we're doing in your area. All right, let's get back to the video.
All right. So the value prop is critical, absolutely critical. Not to the point where you need to spend a month of Sundays in order to put one together, but just to understand the value that is there and what the folks are actually looking for is huge. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just sign this document. It's a new form that I have to have signed, yada, yada, yada. Oh, explain it. Explain it. And oh, by the way, at that point, explain all the documents. Explain what the buy-sell looks like or the purchase agreement looks like. Hey, listen, I don't know when the last time you bought a home, if ever, but is it fair if we just walk through and I just kind of do some 10,000 foot view sort of highlights of what we would be expecting once we're ready to put an offer together? Walk them through the process because they're scared out of their mind. How many times have you heard, let's go look at houses, let's go write the offer, I'll send it to you electronically and hope you just initial in the lower left, sign on the last page? Explain it. Take the time to explain it to them. This is not new. I mean, this is so new to them. They don't do this on a regular basis like you do. Okay. So make sure you take the time to walk them through the entire process. Walk them through what an inspection contingency looks like. Walk them through what the appraisal piece does. Walk them through what it says, at least in our contracts, it says seller paid, buyer paid, equally shared. And guess what section that's under? Closing fees. Well, closing fees for us is done through the title company. Yes, we are a non-abstract state. However, the title company charges us fees to process everything. You're responsible for showing up to your closing and the documents and the preparation that belongs to you from the title company. That's this fee. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But again, explain it to them well in advance. Explain it to them well in advance. When they say, hey, Jeff, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to sign the buyer representation for me. I said, well, tell me more about that. Well, we kind of want to look around and this and that. Oh, okay, great. So what are you looking for in an agent? Put them on the spot. Help understand, or this gives you an idea of what it is that they're actually looking for within an agent. All right. So ask the questions. Ask a ton of questions. The more questions you ask, the more engaged they become. All right. So agent value prop is critical, especially on the buyer side. Very, very, very critical. Growing my SOI. Well, I'd sort of touched on this through the open houses. I truly believe that's the best way to do it. Well, I should say the best way. I should say the most cost-effective way. All right. So whether you're new to town, new to the industry, you have a cell phone in here, right? And in that cell phone, you have connections across the globe for some of us, but for the most part, across the country. So tell them, but not hi. Let me introduce myself on a social media post. My name's Jeff Renevier, and I love real estate. If you know of anybody who needs my services, come on, pick up the dang phone and say, hey, Lisa, hey, I just wanted to share with you something exciting that I just decided to do. And I got my real estate license. What? You did? So did everybody else. Yeah. But the reason I was calling Lisa is, and Lisa doesn't live there, or maybe Lisa does live there. Lisa, Who do you know that I need to meet? Oh, well, what do you want to meet them for? Well, if you're connected to them, I think it's probably a good resource for me to have as well. And I'd love just to simply make the introduction if that's okay. Great. Awesome. Or, hey, I'm new to town. How many people have moved from one part of the country to a next during COVID? You were part of that statistic, which, oh, for the record, is now over 250 miles. It went from 5 to 250, 50x. You're new to an area. You don't know anybody. You haven't decided to buy somebody's book of business. And you simply get to say, hey, Jeremy, it's Jeff. As you know, I made the move from XYZ to XYZ. Who do you know here in town that I should meet? Jeremy, of course, is going to help you out. He's in your phone for a reason, right? He wants to see you be successful. Lisa wants to see you be successful. They want to be a part of that. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got, one of the wealthiest men I ever sat down with. Peter rubbing elbows wealthy because he sits down with billionaires. This guy wasn't quite there, but he said, hey, Jeff, here's a bit of advice for you. I said, what's that? He goes, successful people love to tell other people how they got there. Not in a cocky way, but because we're rarely asked, we love to pour into people who are ambitious or who are excited to know about how it was done. So don't be afraid of somebody's bank account with your inability or your reluctance to give them a call, right? So growing your SOI, you could do it again through phone calls, obviously, but not that BS junk thinking I'm new in the real estate or I just moved over here. Like, have value with it. Come from a place of like, hey, listen, who do you know that I should meet? I want to be connected with them. Because if you're connected with them, and I'm connected with you, I think that's probably a good resource. Another way, doing events or getting engaged in clubs and not like clubs, but like Rotary or this, Kiwanis or whatever is sort of critical, or I should say impactful within your community. And if there's nothing that really scratches the itch, go start it. Go start it. But like book clubs, people are dying for these things right now. And it's not necessarily, hey, let's go sit around at Sally Sue's house, but like people are doing this stuff online. Like kind of cool, right? So there's other ways of connecting, growing your SOI. But the biggest key for me with the SOI, you know how you really, really grow it? You know how like miracle grow for your vegetables and for your flowers? The miracle grow for your SOI is talking to them regularly. Well, Jeff, what do you mean? They're already in my phone. They're already in my database. But how many times have we ran into somebody who was in your database and you ran into him at the grocery store? And you're like, oh my gosh, Robin, I haven't seen you forever. What's new? We bought a house. What you talking about with us? What do you mean you bought a house? And then what do? 9 times out of 10. I totally forgot you're in the business. That's on you. That ain't on them. That's on us, the agent. That is on us, the agent. So when we just, they'll totally call me. They'll totally call me. They follow me on Instagram. They like all my stuff. They'll totally follow me. They ain't necessarily going to call you to list their house or to help them buy a house because they're not hearing from you from a professional standpoint. All right. So make sure you guys are really, really diligent in paying attention to how frequently and what you're providing them and giving them. Okay. That is one way to grow your SOI that I think is uber impactful. Imagine everybody on this phone call was talking to their people once a month. Right? Like the average CRM, the average database is probably anywhere from 750 to 1,000. Like you take the entire organization, you multiply that. Like think about it, the impact. They tell you for every, what do they say? This year, 4% of your database will transact this year. So question is, are you getting your 4% share? Are you getting 1%? Are you getting 8%? Are you getting 2%? Are you getting no percent? If you have 1,000 people in your database, 4% of that is 40. These folks are transacting, not referring. They're actually buying and or selling. 4%, 40 units. Are you getting 40 units out of your SOI? You get 20 units out of your SOI. If the answer is yes, awesome. If the answer is no, get back to the lab and figure out when was the last time you talked to Sally Sue? When was the last time you invited them to an event? When was the last time you provided them value? Right? You see, there's a 12-month call calendar. Get your hands on that. Jeff, I don't know what to say. Great. Well, this is a great spot for that. It's a template. It'll tell you in January to give them the insurance call. In February, it's about Valentine's reservations or chocolates. Jeff, that just seems corny. That's not me. Okay, make it about you. Figure out another way. But at least you have access to something that is taking the guessing work out of it. Okay, because in order to grow your SOI, heck, in order to grow your business, you have to be consistent. Guys, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so very, very much for being here. You guys are amazing as always. If you need anything, you have my information in the chat. Please feel free, use it. Give me a buzz. Great to see a lot of you faces out there, and we'll see you all next time.